Noah gets off the ark, he does the sacrifice. I think he welcomed something in to the hearts of man in that moment. That's the point that I look at as the origin of not only Abrahamic rooted sacrifice, but also pagan sacrifice. There's a universal flood myth, there's a universal sacrifice demon that plagues the human
Yeah.
consciousness. So I think Noah welcomed that in, and I think God rightfully punishes and lowers the bar on Noah. The Noahide laws do mention not eating blood, so there's clearly still a prohibition on blood that most people just don't. A lot of people like to use the Old Testament to justify their habits. Oh, well, these are clean, those aren't. Well, it's dripping in blood no matter what. You shouldn't be eating it.
Yep.
And just to talk about who is this or why did people get caught up in this? Personally, I think it's Satan. I think it's Saturn. I think this is. I think the Jewish orthodoxy is pretty upfront about this. They worship on Saturn's day. They use a yarmulke that reflects or represents the hexagon on the north pole of Saturn. The planet Saturn has a
Yeah.
yarmulke, a hexagonal
That's crazy.
six-sided yarmulke on the north pole of its head, and the rings of Saturn. The rings, the goat ears. Like the payout, whatever they call them, and a lot of this is Saturnian. They're not the only ones. Look at the Pope; he's got the yarmulke on too. Go look at the Imam or whatever the top guy in Islam is. He's got the same damn thing. They're smothering the crown chakra. The crown chakra corresponds to Saturn. This is Saturn. It's Kronos. It's the god of space, time, area, material world. So when the Bible says Satan is the lord of this world, it's talking about Saturn. Saturn and his consort Rhea. This is a little, like mystical Christianity. It's a little abstract or astrological, but Satan is Saturn. And Satan is a spirit. He's everywhere. He can be one place, he can be everything, but he has a beacon in the heavens in the form of the planet Saturn. That's why Lucifer is the planet Venus, the tempter, the seducer. It's the planet Venus.
Yeah.
Saturn, Satan.
Morning star.
These are the two bad guys. Venus is like the waiter at the restaurant. He's trying to get you put more on your tab. Oh, have you tried the fish? Have you tried the vice? Have you tried the gluttony and the wrath? Oh, it's delicious tonight. Saturn's the one who you're paying the bill to at the end. Saturn's
Yeah.
the one who lays down
The
the
debt
law.
collector.
Yep, the karmic arbiter. He's like he's the angel of death, you could say too. And Saturn goes by multiple names in the Old Testament. Moloch is one of them. Moloch is the same as saying Loki, Moloch, Kronos, Saturn. Same guy. He pops up in different forms. We extinguish one type of demon worship, another one pops up with a different name, right? But I think Noah was getting tangled up with Saturn, Shatan, Satan, however you want to say it. And it didn't go identified. The same way that the serpent goes unidentified in the garden. Only later is it identified with Lucifer or Satan. Whatever it was that was, compelling Noah to engage in this behavior. It might have been scarcity, might have been, a need, but I think it was something more insidious. I think it was something
Yep.
using the new scary conditions to weasel its way into the life of men, and that seems to be Satan. All blood sacrifice goes to Satan. There's no such thing
All.
as black magic. Blood magic is black magic. Black
Yeah.
magic
Yeah.
is blood magic. That's the one of the ultimate truths I've learned in all this. Reading about
Yeah.
ceremonial magic, it's not really black magic until it's blood magic.
Yes.
Even if you have great intentions and you're spilling blood, you're slitting, you're doing whatever, you're making a pigeon do it for you, whatever it is, that's evil. It's
Yes.
futile. and you will only get rewarded for that in this world, because Satan is the
Hmm.
lord of this world. So
Yeah.
on one hand, sacrifice works. It's like a patch on the tire. It's like taking out a loan from a bank. So Noah takes out a loan from a bank, and actually Aaron and James and Cam, he makes this great point about mankind learning the mass surveillance state, like the mass surveillance state being developed with the beef industry. Every head of cattle is RFID chipped and vaxxed and all this, and that's where we get it from. That's the microcosm that we're now expanding and walking into and making a macrocosm. It's disgusting. But what's crazy is Noah is also where we learn about debt, the disease, which is the sacrificial system in every culture, is the concept of debt, that you owe Mother Earth or God something beyond virtue for
Yeah.
what he gives you. Like he didn't put you here to live your life on purpose, like you have to pay your whole way for it. And every mistake you make, there's a price of fruit, there's a price of blood, slippery slope. But Noah learned debt in this instance. And this is why I think it's Saturn coming in. Because when Noah sacrifices the animal, God says, "Oh, well, you think you're a butcher now. Well, now I'm going to demand more from you." It's like siphoning out gas from a car. You suck out a little bit, it's all coming out. You know what I mean? You can't stop the flow, really, right? It's all
Hmm.
coming.
It's
It
like
only
Pandora's.
takes Exactly. It only takes a little bit of welcoming that in for the momentum to just start avalanching the slippery slope. Um, Noah is has a debt placed on him. God says, "Well, you just took out a loan without permission. Now you're going to have to pay that loan back." But guess what? This is where interest comes in. You can't pay it back. You have to keep sacrificing and keep sacrificing. It goes on for generations and generations. So
Yeah.
no, God is clearly admonishing and punishing Noah, and it goes right over most Christians' heads. There's clearly God didn't want it. Noah's punished for it, and most Christians think it's a good thing that Noah made the first sacrifice. Um, and again, we can sympathize and say scarcity played a role, but the essence of demonic sacrifice
Yeah.
and debt both entered the lives of man in that instance, according to the Bible. So that's
I
where
agree.
I see
Well,
it.
we've made this argument on the pod before that how can it make any sense that there's no question that all satanic, Luciferian, black magic type arts rely on blood magic. It all revolves around the usage of blood and sacrifice.
Yeah,
So how does it make any sense to say, oh yeah, and the supreme loving God of the universe is exactly like Satan in that regard? God also needs blood sacrifices.
yeah,
That right there is just absolutely logically absurd. But it makes you wonder why Christians look at this as a good thing when it's so antithetical to the message of the Hebrew Bible and who Jesus is.
mhm,
And it's got to go back to this idea that what you're talking about with Noah and this great reset, that at some point the consciousness of man just shifted and we
mhm.
lost this Edenic consciousness of love and compassion for all sentient beings and believed like, oh man, if God destroyed the world in a flood, he must be angry at us. And so how do we appease that anger? And so I think a lot of it comes down to just not understanding ontology and natural law, that like, no, there's no being in the sky who's just like choosing what buttons to press and what to do based on his mood. It's like
Right.
that flood was a karmic climax of some sort based on whatever forces of nature. Like it was a slow incremental shift towards, some people say it was even the pole shifting, right? Like it was
Yeah,
natural law doing what it
yeah,
does. It wasn't a being who got angry and killed everybody. But if you thought it was, it makes sense how your logic could follow down this path. And so if we say that, like the Gnostics did, that it was a demiurge, Yahweh is a demiurge who was trying to deceive mankind, and Christians laugh that off and say, that's impossible. There's no way we could ever be deceived by a demonic spirit like that.
yeah,
It's like, are you so sure?
yeah.
Because In all traditions, demons are spoken of as very crafty and sneaky and clever, and they
Yeah.
know how to make your thoughts pretend like they're you and stuff. So you almost would want to ask, like, if a demon or a devil was trying to deceive you, how would you know it was a devil, right? Like, what's your tell? How would you be so confident that you would easily spot the demon and be like, oh, I'm not going to sacrifice these animals. That's a demon telling me to do that.
Yeah.
You obviously wouldn't, because these demons are negatively polarized, higher density beings that have orders of magnitude more knowledge than humans do. It'd be like playing with a child for them to deceive humans. It'd be very easy for them, especially with the massive egos that most humans have. It'd be like
Mhm.
pulling on puppet strings. And so this is the mistake I think all religious people make, in at least the Abrahamic religions, when thinking about the dark powers, the devil, whatever, is they think that the devil would trick you in some kind of obvious way, like a villain with a twirling mustache, hey, go kill
Yeah.
animals. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, what they do is they give you 90% truth and light, and they just weave in a 10% evil. And so you're so focused on the 90% of the light that you're like, oh, yeah, this sounds mostly really good. This has to be good. And then you accept the 10% evil they wove into it. That's how the demonic, the negative polarity tricks humanity, is they use mostly light in their doctrines and philosophy, and they rely on your gullibility of not seeing it. And so when we look at this story you're pulling out with Noah, the Old Testament, how this pagan practice infiltrated, it's like that's exactly what we see. We see Yahweh from the beginning never command sacrifice. It's an abomination. I do not want this. And then later it's like, well, one sacrifice couldn't hurt, and it just
Yeah.
slowly trickles into the Bible. And so then, 1,000 years later, people are like, hey, the book says it, so it must be God. And
Right.
they're not privy to the ways that the negative polarity can easily use religious scripture to completely blind humanity to
Yeah.
these things.
And what has it morphed into? Speaking of a black magic spell, it's the greatest black magic spell in history, where we're killing 90 billion land animals per year, and everyone is eating meat 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Immeasurable suffering. Talk about
Yeah.
a black magic spell, and I cringe to think about the karma that humanity is creating for ourselves with this mass enslavement.